Good day. Today is Friday, March 28th, 2025, and it's Fasting Friday. So let's put that in the forefront as a sacrifice for the most holy souls um, who are bound or very close to leaving purgatory and getting into heaven. Maybe we can send a few there. Or maybe we can stop a few uh, events that might be planned that are unnecessary because we pray, or help those souls who might do something that they know they shouldn't do, and this would give them the courage for that. That sacrifice would help with that. Um, so, yeah, let's get started with Good Day Rising prayers. And I'm going to show you, I took a picture this morning of the sunset, the sunrise through the, let's see if this will work, through the camper here has very dark tint. That made for a very interesting picture. So, yeah, this is the picture. Let me see if we can, that's what's giving it that purple glaze, but that was what I woke up to this morning. And looks like there's some reflection, but anyway, that gives you an idea. It's supposed to be beautiful here today, 85, 86, something like that. And we may be going home a few days earlier to spend some time with my dad and to maybe work on the property, the house a little bit. We'll see. All right, so let's get started with Good Day Rising prayers. In nomine Dei, Matronum Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Most Holy Trinity and in Catholic contemplation, humbly venerate the Divine Family. Most Holy and Venerable Trinity, one Divine Family, I believe that Thou art here present. I venerate Thee with the deepest humility. I render to Thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to Thee. O Most Holy Trinity, I firmly believe that Thou art one God, consisting of Dea Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. And relying on Thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain pardon of my sins, the help of Thy grace and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O Most Holy Trinity, I love Thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because Thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of Thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Most Holy Trinity for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven, and for the souls in purgatory. O Most Holy Trinity, I most humbly thank Thee for all the favors Thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to Thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in Thy service. I consecrate to Thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by Thy love, or that would not tend to Thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of the Most Holy Trinity the graces which are necessary to us. O Most Holy Trinity, Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of Thy grace. Deny me not Thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which Thou forbiddest, to practice the good which Thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please Thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, Mother of God, I place myself under Thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of Thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, my advocate, now and at the hour of my death. O Most Holy Trinity, as envisioned by St. Lucia, as the most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deam Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because they offend thee, O most holy Trinity, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. So welcome to those who have joined. Hello, Sister Jeannie, and have contacted me. And there's a few different types of contactors. Those who are really welcomed, and those that are, well, they're welcomed, but I can tell that they're used for another purpose. And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, amongst the idea that we should be fasting. Okay, so remember that. Let's try and fast today. For those who are young, can do water only, and those who are older. And again, if you're in poor health, I would say, not necessarily older, but just more in poor health, then you can add like juice or something like that in there, or bread. So the purpose of some of these emails that come to us, I just gave them a name, and they're called ego baiting, and they're used to get you to learn a lesson, and that is to separate your ego, or the devil inside, if you will, and get control of it, and so that you can make sure that it stays where it needs to be. So the natural reaction for most people when they get quote unquote triggered is to react emotionally. And again, that's not a soulful spiritual way to be. Which is why I posted that video on communication on the website a few days ago, which basically the point of it was that you recognize that you have that ego that can be triggered rather quickly, and it's best not to let it get activated. So that's, I've been tested a lot with that, especially in this vein of influence I may have. Let's just put it that way. And little story, it began years ago, where I found some of the truths related to law. And when I challenged them, I found out that, well, it's really, the world isn't ready for the truth just yet. And so it was very, very traumatic to me when I confronted those who were pushing the false agenda, ignorantly, I might add. Some were ignorant, like the police, and some are evil, like the judges. And so, like I said, it was very traumatic, and it was going to affect my family life, etc. And so I decided not to. I pulled back from that, and so at that point, I just cut off all attempts at triggering my ego, and basically just closed in and just kept very, very quiet. And this was a time period where I would do a lot of soul searching. And then this came about that, I needed to step out of that now and become what God had meant me to be, which was a priest and a priest of the truth. And so now those triggering aspects are coming back, and I have to realize, well, I can't just go back into a hole and hide, but I'm not gonna. I have to learn to not let the ego get activated. So that's where we're at. That's the point of today's thing, is that everybody will have this same situation in testing. So uh, take a step back, contemplate, discern, and think about why. Why you don't feel good when you do those sorts of things. And so let's try and some people thrive on that. All right. And you know that, and it's very dangerous. That's not good for your soul, because it's based in emotion, without a balance of reason. And so, again, let's not be tempted by ego during these times. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this thing that's going around the internet just recently, and it's very personal to me, because it's just fascinating. It's Some parents had discovered that their autistic children um, could read usually the mother's mind. And you're like, what? Okay. Now, these are the ones who are nonverbal. Okay, so they can make noises and they can make words, but they can't, they don't have control over certain functions of their body. Benedict had developed that. He wasn't born that way. So I just started this podcast on YouTube about telepathy and autism, and the accuracy is phenomenal. It's over 95%, and I would imagine that the errors are probably if the child or person is tired or something like that, that they're just not paying attention. Um, they've I highly recommend that you go look at this. Now, what I wanted to talk about as far as that and Catholicism goes, how does that work? You say to yourself, well, we know that the soul exists. Okay, think about it which I'm in the beginning stages of this contemplation of this phenomena, where you have the soul in the body, has a normal body, and then it becomes defective. But the soul knows, and God knows, that this defect isn't natural. It's not intended by necessarily the Trinitarian Theophany, but rather evil, dark forces causing this. What if they were given a gift to be able to kind of like overcome and bring about their communication, and a whole new understanding that we aren't just blobs of flesh that don't have life after the body ceases. And so this is what it's really fascinating, because a lot of secularists, if you will, or atheists are having a really hard time with it, because it's quite amazing. So the one girl that I watched, and I didn't see her, this was just a podcast, but at the very end, and the forgive me for not explaining this well, the child, the autistic, was Catholic. She was brought up in a Catholic family. She was from Mexico. She didn't speak English. these investigators, if you will, they were from the United States. They did not speak Spanish. That they brought in an interpreter, and they also were not religious. They were filmmakers, podcasters, um, that sort of thing. So I found it, and they didn't spend enough time on this aspect of it, but they just mentioned it, that she was Catholic, and it was interesting. My take is that there is a reason much bigger than I understand right now about what's going on with the autistics who are nonverbal. Apparently, they can learn to. They're in there. Put it this way: they're fully conscious within their bodies, and they know everything that's going on around them. And you can speak to them normally, and they totally understand you. They may not be able to react the way you and I do. And this is what is coming out, that they are able to express themselves. And so reading is very important, and spelling. So they give them these little plastic boards with letters all on them. And they ask them a question. This is first getting them to learn how to use the board so that they can spell. And then they would spell a word. And those who have gotten pretty good at that were able to do this telepathy test through the board. And the mother would go in the other room and would they did numbers, and they did 3 numbers, and they did words, and the mother would stay in the other room, and the child, the autistic child, would type it out on the board, the letters or the numbers. And this one girl, Mia, from Mexico, had 100% accuracy. 100%. She knew what her mother was thinking. And so it changes a whole lot. And like I said, I'm in the very beginning of this. I encourage you to check it out. We have to be careful at the same time. It's the soul in there. Okay, this isn't about inviting spirits or anything like that. This is about the soul being and its ability to communicate outside of the body. And it's just a very, very, very interesting topic that to me is fascinating, because it reminds me of what it's going to be like in heaven. We're not going to need to be blabbing all the time, or that sort of thing. You'll be able to see one another and talk to one another telepathically with your ethereal body, if you're in union with the most holy Trinity, which is the goal, because then that's going to be the most glorious. All right, enjoy your fasting today, and let's get started with Mass. Also, one last thing I wanted to mention. Welcome to Murphyus, and I look forward to hearing more from you when I get back to New Hampshire. I've got some rosaries and scapulars to get mailed out for a couple of people, and we'll continue to pray for those who are struggling. There's so many struggling. All right. And Murphy's has an interesting story, which of course I'm going to have to ask him about, and whether or not he would like to share that at some point. It takes time. People need time. Deum vobiscum, et quoque pote. Oremus. O most holy Trinity, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum Hoc Immaculatum Hostium, quam ego indinius famulus tuus offedi tibi Deum eum vivum et verum, pro innumerabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed pro omnibus fidelibus Catholicorum vivis atque defunctis ut mihi et idis proficietat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantia dignitatem mirabilitu condivis et mirabilis reformatio da nobis per illis atque divine mysterium eis divinitatis esse consortes qui humanitatis nostrae fieri dignatus est paticeps Deum Iesum Christum Filium qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum da peccantis clementium ut conspectu divinae majestatis tuae pro nostra totius mundi salute, cum odore suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiamur te Deum Iesum Christum, et sic fiat sacrificium nostrum in conspectu tuo horiae, uplacia tibi Deum matronum nostrae Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni sanctificatum, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificite blata pro sequendo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomini praeparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas Sancta Oblationum quam tibi efferimus, a memoriam passiones, resurrectiones et discensiones Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorem Dei matronum nostrae et Papa Peter Sanctorum, et Historum et omnem Sanctorum, ut idis proficiet ad honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et illi pro nobis intercede divina intercalis, quorum memoriam agimus in telis perium Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meum equestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat per Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudam et gloriam nomini sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, et quoque pote. Suusum corda habemus a Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te igito clementis me mater et pater et Deum matronum nostrae Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus ac petimus. Uti accepta habeas, et sanctificas haec sancta sacrificium idibata. In primis quae tibi afferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctum catholicam, quam pacificare custodire ad honore, et regere dignitis tot orbi terrarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum famulum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Katie, Gage, R.M., Neil and Earl Lively, Marie Josephina Mose, Letitia, Mindy, Clarette, Mark Jr., Henry Santa Croce, Barbara and Benedict Santa Croce, Luis Antonio Cantu, Mr. Nobody, Amble Tink, the Cantu and Duarte families, Michaela McLarnon and family, Sarah, Becky, Janelina, Lori, Aaron and family, Maria and the Line Weber family, the Kendrick, Shorten, Dasco, Nye, Tafour, Began, Wolf, and Kane families and their intentions. We pray that Mr. Nobody receives the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange with no usury. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society and lead with virtue. We ask that all quote-unquote gay marriage, all pornography, the OnlyFans platform be banned and never to return. We ask that families understand, that the men and women understand that raising traditional Catholic families, husbands and wives, is a very high ideal and a necessity for sustaining a Catholic society. We ask for the conversion of all sinners trapped in a state of mortal sin, especially the ignorant. And we encourage young couples to court instead of living together prior to marriage. We pray for the elimination of all harmful radiation waves in our air and in our homes. We ask that the internet be free and that it be uncensored for truth and censored for evil, disgusting, un-Catholic stuff, if you will. We ask Dea Matronam Nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum to destroy the satanic document, Vatican law, that is the Jewish Talmud, that you destroy Rome and the Vatican and recognize the transfer of the authority of the Catholic Church to Portugal. We ask you to continue to make people aware of the falsities of the pharmaceutical industry and the dangers therein, and help them to learn more about natural healing methods. We ask you to destroy all forms of Freemasonry and bring the members into the submission of the Trinitarian Theophany through correct baptism and confession, and that Catholic families bring back Catholic morals and values, for women to stop seeking cosmetic surgeries, and that men stop feeding their money, energy, and attention and time to sports, celebrities, worldly entertainment, worldly vices, etc., and to focus their attention and time to raising good Catholic families with the Most Holy Trinity completely engulfing their family. All these things we ask in accordance with the Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany's divine will and intention. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fidis cognita est et nota devotio pro quibus tibi ferimus, vel qui tibi frontox sacrificium laudis prosse suis omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum prospe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi credunt vota sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et memoriam venerantes in primis gloriosae semper Dei Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium torum Papa Sancti Petri, et Sancti Lucia, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum, tuorum quorum meritis praecibusque concedasut in omnibus protectiones tuae munum et exilio per Deum Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblationem de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, in omnibus consecratem acceptabilem confeceri dignitis ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat delictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretur recepit panem in sanctus ac honorabilis manus suas, et elevatis oculis in caelum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, frege dedique lunis sui dicens, accipite et mondicati ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simini modo postquam ceremone est, accipienser hunc preclarum, carecem in sanctus ac honorabilis manus suas, item tibi gratias agens, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Consecravit dique luminis sui dicens, accipite et vivite ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum, haequet est cum purificeritis in me mono facietis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, sere plebs tua, sancta, justum Christum filium tuum, Deum nostrae, tam beate passiones, nec non et nefarious rejectiones, sed et in caelos gloriosa ascensiones offerimus praeclarae maestati tuae de tuis donis actatis, supra quae propitio axere nuvutur respicieri digneris. Supplices teragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vive hec perfide per manus tuum ut quod executaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum corpus et sanguinum sincerimus, omni sanctificatione calesia gratia repe amor, per innum Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for Bishop Father Peter Shorten, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum quis gentibum locum refigere ducis et pacis et dolor gesta proclamor per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Per quem hec omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bono creas, sanctificas, vivicas, consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum, sanctam tuum in mulieribus, Dea matronam nostrae, materam Deum Iesum Christum, ora pro nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos, quae sumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, praesentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata et gloriosa, semper Deum matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis, da propitius pacem divus nostris. Ut opi misericordiae tuae aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per innum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrum, qui tigam vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum et quoque apud te. Haecum extior consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum fiat accipientibus nobis senat salutem aeternam. Pax tecum et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, quaprante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacrosanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum amodumus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis et facme tui semper in harare mandatis, et nunquam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis arenam aeternam, perque copris tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sumere, praesimo non mihi proveniat in idicium et condonationem, sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi ad tutum mentum mentis copris, et ad medelam pericipiendum qui vivis serenas, cum Deum matronam nostra in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. In panem celestem accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum in vocabo, Deam matronam nostra non sundinius, ut et usutete meas in tanti quibus napaternam mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sundinius, ut et usutete meas in tanti quibus napaternam mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sundinius, ut et usutete meas in tanti quibus napaternam mea. Opus Dei nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retuum Deum Iesum Christum prominibus quae retubuit mihi, calicem saetaris accipiem in nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostra et ab inimicis meis avocero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet animam tuum. Quodere sumpsimus Deum Iesum Christum punimente capiamus et immunum tempore fit nobis remedium sempiternum. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum quod se sanguis quam petavi et heriat viscerus meis apraesta, ut in me non remaneat scelero macula quem pirat sancta reficerum sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids. We beseech thee, O most holy Trinity, that thou mayest free them from all sins, and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, ite missa est. Deum gratia. Placiat tibi Sancta Trinitam, obsequiam servitutis meae, et praesta ut sacrificim coroculis tuae majestatis in unus auctoritibus et accaptavere mique et omnibus, pro quibus irut autoliciti miserate perpetuale te Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Most Holy Trinity, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most Holy Trinity, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of God our Lady, Deum Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. Please go enjoy your day. Fast if you can. Hello, Juan Carlos. How are you? I played tennis a little bit with my daughter last night. So my legs are going to be happy for a break today. First time in years. But thank you, Rosemary or Rebecca, for that. All right. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And thank you for everything that you do. We'll see you tomorrow.